this could be. I haven't seen my Super Nintendo since 2003. That's alright, I don't mind. I've got a Switch in the old Switcharoo. My friend Mike and J-Mo too.
All right, everyone, welcome to a very special episode of the Old Switcharoo, where we're talking gaming retro with Mike and JMO.
I'm Mike.
And I'm JMO. Today we are presenting the first and hopefully last entry of a new series of our show that we are calling the Old Switcharoo Switched Off. As confirmed by Nintendo Dojo's Robert Marujo on March 28th, 2025, Super Soccer, developed and released by Human Entertainment in 1992, will be the first game to ever get delisted from the Nintendo Switch Online retro catalog. Mike, I feel some type of way about this. What about you?
I think this really cuts into the appeal that this has as a service.
Yeah, yeah, it's upsetting. It's upsetting. A lot of historians are like, talking about game preservation. And, cartridges are getting harder and harder to find, and so many online only releases. It seemed like Nintendo Switch Online was going to be the hero that Gotham needed, right? Because up until this point, when a game has been put on there, it's been put on there for, forever. Super Soccer was added in September of 1992, and so after 7 years, it's being taken down for unspecified reasons. Have you figured out why this is happening?
I haven't. First of all, that's not 7 years.
Nah, did I say 1992?
No, you said
2019.
2022.
2019.
Okay.
Look, my strong suit ain't soccer, and my strong suit ain't math either. Yeah, September of 2019 it was added, and now in March of 2025 it's being taken down. There's unspecified reasons. A lot of people are speculating that this being a third-party game not developed by Nintendo, Nintendo is simply opting to not re-up the license to continue offering it. But there is also a kind of interesting theory going around. Some people think it might have to do with the likeness of the on the box art. Mike, if you looked at the goalie on Super Soccer, does he look like anyone to you?
Not really.
But can you guess what people are saying?
I'm kind of running through like 80s action heroes and not getting a close enough match.
If I said that this game was huge, this game is listed as a Donald Trump game on a lot of different lists. And people say that's him. They say that's his face on the box. You don't see it?
No, no. Was this his idea?
I don't know. Look, I don't really buy this theory because if you go through the Nintendo Switch Online catalog, other games are listed not by the box art but by the title screen. I would assume because there was some sort of, issue with the getting the artist permission or something. So Nintendo already has a workaround for this, but guys, let us know in the comment if you know for sure, if you have a theory on why Super Soccer's getting the axe. Is it yet another victim of Doge? Who knows? But so let's get into the Joy Pros and the Joy Cons of Super Soccer before it's gone for good. Mike and I, we just played it. What'd you like about Super Soccer?
I beat you. That was definitely a selling point.
Fake news. Gonna be on theme here. It was a nail biter. We got into a crazy long shootout at the end. Yeah, I mean it was fun. Even losing to you, I had fun with it. I think this game helped me figure out what I don't normally like about sports games. So the only other retro soccer game I ever played was World Trophy Soccer on Sega Genesis. Did you play this one?
I didn't, but I suspect issues that come up here are going to overlap because I did play football and basketball games.
Okay. So I don't like that most retro games, you're playing from the audience's perspective. You're kind of up above the action. And I think it makes the controls for most sports games kind of unintuitive because like if I was playing World Trophy Soccer here from Sega Genesis, getting this kind of isometric view of the action, if I'm controlling the goalie, I'm having to press like up and down to move him up the field or down the field to kind of block the shots or whatever. Super Soccer is unique because it uses that patented Mode 7 graphics the Super Nintendo is so famous for to put the action right on the field. And so you're looking over the shoulders of your players down the field and seeing the goal in the distance. And by sliding around and moving that background layer that is the green, and moving it either closer to the camera or further away, you're simulating 3D movement. I really liked that, and I didn't expect it. I've never played a soccer game quite from this perspective. What did you make of like the camera angle of Super Soccer?
Um, I was not as much of a fan of it.
No,
I do wonder if some of that is like the view you're bothered by is the view that anyone that watches the sports on TV would be used to.
yeah,
So I think for someone that's familiar with it, it doesn't seem strange. Um,
yeah. I'm
I
not a
think my
sports guy.
Yeah, I think my issue here is that actually that view did make it hard to sort of know where players were.
Right. Yeah. Especially with if you are, I guess let's say if you are on the offense and your team is off camera behind the camera, you're only seeing maybe three or four of your actual players at any given moment. So I can see that. I just feel like I got a more visceral reaction. The action felt so much more closer and so much more tense because the camera was sort of on the field, as it were. Um, Another thing that I liked about it was that I thought there was a number of fun little kind of touches to the animation. When a player gets injured, their face gets replaced by like a giant X, which is really unnerving. But then it had cuts to this little shot of like the offending player kind of shrugging at the audience, because he's sort of embarrassed he hurt somebody. And did you happen to watch any footage? So I didn't. Nintendo did not beat this game. Did you?
I mean, no, I don't think under any reasonable definition. Like I think, like when I played you, I won,
Bringing that up.
and that was no, but it's like a 3-2 score.
Yeah.
I played two games where I picked the best teams and played the worst teams. And I think I lost by a combined 15-0. Oh no, 15-1. I think I
Whoa.
scored once.
Yeah, but and again though, you don't rewind, you don't abuse modern functionality. Playing against the computer and just rewinding every time I missed a shot, it made it a lot easier. But didn't serve me well enough to beat you. You got me. So, do you recall that, some of the other sports games we played that has kind of funny sort of closing cutscenes? One of the tennis games, if you lose so bad, your house collapses or something like that. And what was the game we played where someone got thrown into the stadium and they exploded? Which one was that
Um,
one?
that might have been Super Baseball.
I think it was Super Baseball. So Super Soccer has kind of a funny ending to it. Uh, when you win the World Tournament, the Master of Ceremonies gets pegged by the ball and the trophy goes flying out of his hands. The referee catches it and runs off screen with it. Your team gives chase, and then the referee is standing there taunting you, saying if you really want the trophy, you have to defeat the true world champions, which is the Nintendo All-Star team. And they dress all in black and they're the only team with max stats. And I just thought that was really funny because it's like portraying Nintendo as like poor sports at best and cheaters at worst. Like, but I thought that was kind of cute. And then, there's little secret things like, when your team is running on and off the field, you kind of press the B button to make them all hop in unison. Does absolutely nothing, but it kind of reminded me of, in Mario 64, like warping his face or whatever. Just like a fun little interactivity that didn't need to be there. But I don't know. I found Super Soccer kind of charming. Is there anything you liked about it?
I I'm not sure I really would say there was
Oh no.
really. And I think it comes down to an issue, and I realize that have this with a lot of games, and it varied really on how well they could handle it. I think was because you're playing a team sport, and ultimately this is about how the ball is being passed. It really comes down to who am I controlling, and there's certainly games that will allow you to switch that when you want. or where it doesn't matter as much. Like football is a good example because you are not constantly passing that ball. So you are the
Football,
quarterback, and then you're the
American
person.
football.
Yeah. So like you're the quarterback, and then you're whoever you've given the ball to. Like
Right.
and it's more that you're selecting plays beforehand.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get into this thing that I thought this did, which would, it felt like it kept changing who I was controlling so often that it'd be like, okay, I'm going to come in with this person. Nope, someone else got closer and it decided I'm controlling someone else now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really indicate who you're controlling.
No, there's like little numbers, so you know the number of the player, but it's like you said, the AI kind of takes over and just whoever's closest to the ball, that's when you're going to be controlling. But there were moments in our match where like the ball was ping-ponging back and forth between the teams, and there was a moment where like the ball was just sitting on the field because neither of us knew which character we were in control of. And so we were kind of just dancing around it ineffectually, which is probably how I'd play actual soccer, so I didn't mind that as much. Something I didn't really like about it was that I felt like the animation, as much as I liked the perspective, the animations were kind of stiff. Like every kick, everything, it's just one frame of animation. There's like this shoulder charge you can do, but it's just your character just, turns into the little shoulder charge sprite. And I think that made the controls feel kind of stiff. Just because what I'm pressing and what's happening on the screen, sometimes it felt like there was like a delay. And speaking of delay, the way that you can curve the ball when you're doing a shot, you can either like press the direction with the button, or you can press the button and then the direction like a split second later to apply a curve to it. I never really got the hang of it. Did you?
Not really. I knew that that was a thing, which is why on one of my corner kicks, I tried for it.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see. I was right in that you can kick that with enough curve that it will go right back out. I had too much, and it just halfway between the corner and the goal went back out again with no one ever touching it. But I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, if I knew what I was doing, I bet I can get a pretty good shot on goal from this,
Yeah. Yeah.
which would have
And
been
the music.
hilarious if I pulled that off.
Well, and also like let's just say the Joy Cons is the way that game handles shootouts. So Mike and I got into a showdown at the end. It was I think 3-3, and then what was the final shootout score? It was like 12-11 because we could not for the life of us make our goalie stop one of these balls.
Yeah, I
If
think the big difference between I think what would actually happen for soccer, which is your best shot in soccer, just because you're or the shot you're least likely to have not go near the goal is straight ahead.
Yeah,
As you go for angles, you start running the risk of kicking it wide.
right.
And I don't think this game in its programming has that. What you're actually doing is selecting basically one of like 9 or 6 or something spots in the goal to kick it at, and it's going to go to that location. And so it's just, does the other person pick the same spot and can they get there in time?
Yeah,
And I think what this lacks is it should have, or it doesn't really work because you don't have the ability to go. I discovered you just kick it into the upper corner, and I don't think you ever figured out how to block that corner.
yeah, I didn't.
I got up there once or twice, but
Yeah,
like it's a tough spot to get to. If you just keep kicking it there, they can't. It's a hard spot to defend,
yeah.
and they have to have picked that as the right spot. And there's no risk of missing.
No, right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a chance to block it, but it's just the shootout went for so long that it almost got boring, and that's a bad thing for a shootout.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. And the last thing I would say is that like the music, it's catchy, but it's the same theme for every match, so it kind of wore thin on me. I don't know. I don't know if you played enough games to kind of get tired of that. So, yeah, I'd be curious if, the co-op mode, because this game you can play, two human players against the computer. So I wonder if that would alleviate some of the frustration of like not really knowing who you're controlling, because then we're passing the ball back and forth to each other. But
I
the
mean,
the game,
I also just didn't think passing worked well. Like when I was in my games, like I would pass, it would kind of go like kind of vaguely in that direction, and then go to an opponent or something. So this very much just became I'm just going to kick this as far as I can towards the goal every time and just hope that that in aggregate leads to goals.
And it did. And you beat me. Yeah, so it's an interesting game. I'm grateful that we got to check it out. Any other thing to talk about before we render our verdict?
I think that's it.
All right, well, that brings us to the moment of truth. We've covered the Joy Pros, the Joy Cons, and every bit in between. Now it's time to declare today's game as a Now-tendo or Never-tendo. So, like we said, this game is being delisted on March 28th. So, Mike, do you think our viewers should check it out now, or should they never bother?
I'm going to go Never-tendo.
Ah,
There's a ton of sports games,
yeah.
and with it, it doesn't, I don't think it plays well. And then it's just, is there something else to this? And I think this one doesn't have that. Like some of the others at least have something where even if the gameplay might be tough for someone, there's style or personality that I feel like is in there. And I just don't get that on this one.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, for me, as someone who doesn't like sports that much, like you said, I don't watch sports. So I really dug the close to the action camera angle, even if it was impractical at times. I felt more excited playing this game than I would normally feel playing a soccer game. And I thought it had enough fun little details that I think it deserves your attention before the clock runs out. So I'm gonna say it's a now Tendo. Play it now, everybody. And you know what that means, Mike? It's a tie. So that means, hey, listeners and viewers, please join our Discord and vote on whether Super Soccer is worth your time. And don't delay because you don't got a lot of time left. Well, we're gonna call that game over for today. Final score for Super Soccer is up to you.
Not another
Everyone.
shootout.
Ah, a democratic shootout. We've been having too much of those lately. Everyone join us on March 20. Whoa. Didn't even think about what that sounds like. Okay. Anyway, everyone join us on March 26th for our next full episode of the Old Switcharoo. We'll be raging and rolling through the original Mario Party for Nintendo 64. Also, don't forget to visit www.theoldswitcharoo.com, where you can find links to our Spotify, our YouTube, Instagram, and all the social medias you can shake a joystick at. You can even leave an old-timey voicemail. I mean, we'd literally love to hear from you. Or even better, join the fun of our Discord server where you can play games, talk games, and even make a friend or two. Big thanks to Crystal Fields for our incredible intro song, and thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, reviewing, and playing along with us every step of the way. This has been a special episode of the Old Switcheroo, where we're talking gaming retro with Mike and JMO.
I've been Mike.
And I've been JMO. Game on, everyone.